Mr. Deputy Speaker, I wish to raise a point of order. This is in relation to a video on the PSP Facebook and a breach of the Parliamentary Privileges and Immunities Act. Before I put the point of order, Mr. Deputy Speaker, it is necessary for me to explain the facts, the context, and the background, and then I will put the point of order, if I may proceed.
Please proceed, Leader.
There is, on the PSP Facebook page, a video that was uploaded sometime around midnight yesterday. The exact time is not indicated. In the post, the text part of the video, in the text part of the Facebook post, it says, "In what some online commentators are calling another Sia Sway moment, the PSP's Leong Man Wai and Hazel Phua are here to do whatever it takes to ensure that the voice of the people is heard." And then you have the video, and superimposed on top of the video is this text blurb. It says, "During that hour, the Deputy Speaker reminded Mr. Leong Man Wai that he should not start a debate during a ministerial statement after he," that means Mr. Leong Man Wai, "urged the Deputy Speaker not to end the debate early because this is an important topic." It was obviously referring to the ministerial statements and the subsequent clarifications with respect to the ride-out road matter. Then, in the video, there's this dramatic opening and shows Mr. Leong Man Wai saying, "Point of order, sir, this is an important issue. All Singaporeans are watching this debate." Then there's soft music, and then you have Mr. Leong Man Wai making his clarifications. That's just a straightforward showing of the clarifications that he made. And then at about 3.31 minutes in, it shows the part where Mr. Leong says, "There's still a lot more questions that I'm going to ask, Deputy Speaker. I think the debate is not going to end at 5:45 p.m. And then it shows Mr. Deputy Speaker replying, where he said, "Mr. Leong, I think that the chair decides at what time the clarifications end. In fact, this is not a debate." Then it shows Mr. Leong coming back to say, "Point of order, sir. This is an important issue. All Singaporeans are watching this debate." Then it shows Deputy Speaker saying, "Mr. Leong, I don't disagree with you that this is a matter of public importance, and in fact, Standing Order number 23 makes specific reference that ministerial statements be made on matters of public importance." Mr. Leong says yes, and Deputy Speaker then says, "But the second sentence in Standing Order 23 also states that there shall be no debate. Clarifications can be asked, so there's no debate, whether under Standing Order 23 or Standing Order 25, which is a personal explanation." And the video cuts there. It ends there. So, on the face of it, you may wonder, what's the problem with this video? The difficulty is this. The video gives a false impression of what occurred in Parliament. First, it gives a false impression that issues on the ride-out matter could not be fully ventilated because Mr. Deputy Speaker would not allow a debate despite a plea by Mr. Leong Man Wai for this to happen. If you think about it, it starts off with, in what some online commentators are calling another Sia Sway moment. What is Sia Sway? Embarrassing. So there has to be something embarrassing. What is this embarrassing thing? It goes on to say that the PSP's Leong Man Wai and Hazel Phua are here to do whatever it takes to ensure that the voice of people are heard. And then you have that blurb which suggests that they were being shut down and a debate was not allowed to take place. So the first wrong about the post coupled with the video is the suggestion that issues could not be fully ventilated and that a debate was not allowed. What the video does not say, and what is the case, is that procedurally for ministerial statements, members can ask questions or clarifications, but unlike for motions, it is not a debate. That may be a technical characterization, but it is something that all members of parliament should know. And the video does not continue to point out what happened after that. So the gravamen of this part is that there's no debate. But of course, what is not highlighted is that questions are put to ministers, and the ministers are still held to account. They've put themselves up for questioning, and that they did answer. Then the next thing that it does is it gives the impression that Mr. Leong was not allowed to ask questions, which again is not true. So if you look at the actual transcript, you will see that Mr. Leong actually asked something like 11 questions or clarifications. And if I may just refer to my record of this transcript that I have. The video stops where Mr. Deputy Speaker explains the distinction between Standing Order 23 and a debate. What is left out is this part, where Mr. Leong Wan Wai says, "Yes, what I urge the Chair, Mr. Deputy Speaker, sir, is to be mindful that this topic has not been properly, completely clarified. When it is not completely clarified, please do not end the session." So there's an admission there that there's a distinction between clarifications and debate. And Mr. Deputy Speaker saying, "Mr. Leong, I think the response to you is," I invite you to take your seat. The response is we had 4 ministerial statements from 12:30 p.m. and it's now 5:30 p.m. That is what 5 hours worth of toing and froing. I think this House has ventilated a lot of issues. I will allow about 3 or 4 more clarifications from members, and we will then proceed to end the ministerial statements. And then Mr. Deputy Speaker put to Mr. Leong that it was not for a member to dictate to the chair when business should start or end, and said he hoped Mr. Leong could agree. He specifically asked if Mr. Leong would agree to that, and Mr. Leong agreed that yes, it was not for him to decide when business would start or end. Now, the video also does not indicate that subsequently Mr. Deputy Speaker gave Mr. Leong many opportunities to raise clarifications. There was a time when Deputy Speaker allowed Ms. Phua to go first, when he said, "Mr. Leong, don't worry, I will come back to you." Subsequently, Ms. Hazel Phua was allowed to make a clarification, and after that, Mr. Deputy Speaker said to Mr. Leong, "Mr. Leong Wan Wai, I'm giving you some latitude, so ask all the questions you have." And Mr. Leong then proceeded to ask 5 questions, and it continued. And it was only right at the end, when Mr. Deputy Speaker looked around, there were no further hands, that Mr. Deputy Speaker called upon Mr. Alex Yam to give the last clarification. The next thing is that the video says that during that hour, suggesting that clarifications only occurred for 1 hour. That again is not true. The entire session took about 6 hours. The ministerial statements took up about 2 hours, and the clarifications took almost 4 hours, or 3 hours and 48 minutes to be precise. So there was ample time for questions to be asked, and they were asked, and they were answered. And the session ended at 6:22 p.m. So we have here a situation where you have a video from PSP which gives rise to false, misleading impression of what happened in Parliament, and it misrepresents the proceedings. I had actually spoke about this in Parliament, and I had reminded members about the obligations that members have under the PPI-PA. I had distributed a note at that time, and just to refresh members' memories, I would ask the clerk to distribute the Hansard of what I had said at that time and the note. The documents that are being circulated comprise 3 documents. The first is the extract of the Hansard on that occasion. The second is the note that I had circulated to members. And the third is an excerpt from the Parliament Privileges, Immunities and Powers Act. I would like to direct members to the second document in the bundle. It's titled Upholding Proper Conduct in and Out of Parliament. This is the notes that were circulated to members. And I would direct members' attention to paragraph 6. Paragraph 6 says, "The proceedings of Parliament are public, and they are reported and discussed outside of Parliament by members and the public alike. This is part of public discourse. However, Parliament proceedings should not be distorted, misrepresented, or otherwise used improperly. Section 31 of the PPIPA provides that no person, that means not just members of Parliament, but anybody, no person shall publish any statement, whether in writing or otherwise, which falsely or scandalously defames or which reflects on the character of the Speaker or any member touching on his conduct in Parliament or anything done or said by him in Parliament. No person shall publish willfully any false or perverted report or any writing containing a gross or scandalous misrepresentation of any debate or proceedings of Parliament or of any speech of a member of Parliament. And no person shall publish any statement, whether in writing or otherwise, which falsely or scandalously defames the proceedings or the character of Parliament." So these provisions are concerned with statements reflecting on members in their parliamentary roles, statements reflecting on Parliament, and false reports of parliamentary proceedings. And if members look at paragraph 8, breaches of these provisions constitute a contempt of Parliament that Parliament may punish. There are also offences that Parliament may refer to the public prosecutor. These provisions apply to members and the public alike, with members expected to lead by example in complying with the law. And at paragraph 11, I specifically drew to members' attention that outside of Parliament, members, their political parties, and the members of public, as well as those reporting on parliamentary proceedings, should take note of Section 31 of the PPIPA and not conduct themselves so as to bring Parliament into disrepute. Examples of conduct that should be avoided include misrepresenting what happened in Parliament, such as by setting out partial and thereby misleading versions of what happened in Parliament, casting aspersions, and making scandalous or defamatory statements about Parliament and or its members. And as stated, these obligations apply not just to members, but to all persons. So, the point that I would wish to raise is this, and that is the video, coupled with the text and the blurb, does all of these things, misrepresents what happened in Parliament, misrepresents what the Speaker, Deputy Speaker said or did. And it should be remembered that in Mr. Leong's case, Mr. Leong himself personally has previously had occasions where he has breached parliamentary rules and had to apologize for the same. This occurred on 25th of February 2021, 10th of May 2021, 8th of March 2022, and most recently, 22nd of March 2023, in respect of the ministerial statement on police disclosure, where he had to apologize for being disrespectful to Speaker. And subsequent to that sitting, he had also withdrew various statements in his Facebook posts, clarified that he had not intended to cast aspersions on ministers, and admitted that he was wrong to make the suggestions that he did in his statement in Parliament. I had, on the 18th of April 23, raised a point of order where I said that given that, although these were breaches, given that he had apologized, there was no need to take further action, and I sought Speaker's concurrence, which Speaker gave. And it was on that occasion, on the 18th of April this year, that I reminded members of the responsibilities, and that's when I circulated that note. So in light of this, may I, through you, Mr. Deputy Speaker, ask Mr. Leong Man Wai, who is the Secretary General of the PSP and therefore leads the PSP, may I ask why such a misleading post and video has been put up? That's first. And second, let me just ask that first. Let me see how it is.
Mr. Leong Man Wai.
Deputy Speaker, sir. First of all, I must say, in response to what the Minister had alleged just now, I'm quite surprised that I thought the video put up by my party was just an expression. You know, in this country, we are still supposed to have free expression. Right? So first of all, let me confirm a few things. One, when we put as a title another instance of xia sui, what is the interpretation? Who are we referring to? Did the Minister assume that the xia sui refers to the Deputy Speaker? We have no intention of saying that at all. The xia sui is what people in the public has used to refer to me. Okay, so we are just saying that, oh, this is another example of xia sui, but actually what Leong Man Wai was trying to do was to ask more questions to get more facts. Okay. And that's how he was trying to get the facts. And so the videos put up some of the things. So inside the video, one very important point was about the amount of time being spent. Although the whole deliberation has lasted 6 hours, but that doesn't mean that all the questions and has been asked and all the replies that comes back has actually clarified all the facts. So in the process of debate, I was maybe slightly a bit excited and say that, no, I think I need more time to ask those questions. And that's when Deputy Speaker Sir came in and said that you're not supposed to have a debate. And so that went on, you know, some exchanges between him and me. But I thought I've always conducted myself with respect to the Deputy Speaker at that time. I didn't say anything in violation or anything, I think. Because I do learn from some of the exchanges I have with the Speaker, for example. So I didn't say anything. I say I agree to what he say. If he say clarification, then I say, okay, the clarifications haven't been completely clarified. You say no debate, clarification, okay, I use clarification. But the difference between debate and clarifications, indeed, is a very interesting differentiation. You know, what is meant by debate and what is meant by clarifications in the context of we discussing in Parliament. So that's something we thought quite interesting. So as a result, it was in the video. So what I'm trying to say is that I don't think I have conducted myself disrespectfully at all. And by showing this video, now I hear from you about some of the interpretations that you have explained. I think I would request that you allow me to take this back and let us deliberate inside our party, and then we come out with a formal response. And if there's any demands that the government want us to do right now, you can let us know, and we will immediately consider and respond as soon as possible. So that is my response to you at the moment. Thank you.
I thank Mr. Leong Man Wai for his response. Let me just address a few things, and then I think we can arrive at a partial conclusion of this matter. First, when Mr. Leong says that he had not fully appreciated the difference between clarification and debate, and he had not intended to be disrespectful to Mr. Deputy Speaker, I think that we accept. There was a point when it bordered on the disrespectful, but to be fair to Mr. Leong, he caught himself at that time. So today I'm raising this point of order not in respect of what Mr. Leong said or did in Parliament. So we can set that aside and not be concerned about that. The point of order that I'm raising is with respect to the video coupled with the text in the Facebook post. They have to go together. And in this respect, firstly, Mr. Leong is the Secretary General of the party, and this is the party's Facebook, and that is why I'm directing the question to him. The second, Mr. Leong said that this was just an expression, and that he thought that there was supposed to be free expression. There is free expression in Singapore, but it has never extended to falsehoods, scandalously defaming somebody, or misrepresenting situations or facts, or misrepresenting what happened in Parliament. So I just wish to make that very clear. Freedom of expression does not allow anybody to make false statements or misrepresent things, because facts are important. And then the next thing, did I understand Mr. Leong correctly? Did he say that in the Facebook video, in the Facebook post, the reference to Sia Swee was a reference to him? Because the text says, in what some online commentators are calling another Sia Swee moment. So am I to understand that Mr. Leong is saying that PSP is saying that Mr. Leong and Ms. Phua have given rise to another Sia Swee moment? Is the reference to them, or is the reference to something else?
Mr. Leong.
Yeah, Deputy Speaker, sir, thanks. Well, in response to what the Minister have asked, as I've said just now, my comms department specifically is using a past example about people calling me Sia Swee. Okay, so this statement, Sia Swee, on this video is also referring to me as another instance that some people online may think that is another Sia Swee instance. But so what it is a matter of communication message. Yeah. Thank you.
I see. I thank Mr. Leong for his clarification and confirmation that the PSP video was in fact referring to what it suggests is an embarrassing moment by its Secretary General. Okay, that aside, that brings me back to the final point, which is that having now explained how the video comes across and how it would be understood, then I think what would be appropriate is for the video to be taken down and for an apology in a form acceptable to Parliament. I do not ask Mr. Leong to respond to that today. As he has kindly said, they will go back and consider this. This is what should be considered, and please do let us know tomorrow. Thank you.
Yes, Mr. Leong.
Deputy Speaker, thanks. Yes, in response to the Minister, yes, that's what I'm going to do. And thank you for, when we do our debates and discussion in this Parliament, inevitably, if we want to have substantive discussion, there will be times where wrong things are being said. Okay, and if those things are being said, inappropriate things are being said, then I really appreciate the opportunity to get your feedback, and then we'll discuss the actions we need to take. So what you have said specifically just now is for us to take down our video. Is that all? And an apology. Okay, I will go back and we will discuss about that within our party, and we'll respond to the government as soon as we can. Thank you. Oh, response to Parliament. Okay. Response to Parliament as soon as we can. Thank you.
Leader.
The request was to respond to Parliament tomorrow. But just one more response in respect of what Mr. Leong just raised in his reply. I think Mr. Leong said that sometimes things are said in the heat of the moment, or you may make a mistake on the spot. That, I think we understand, and that is why the standing orders have provisions for members to come back and give either personal explanations or to correct statements. But this video came up around midnight this morning, so end of Tuesday. The ministerial statements and the clarifications took place on Monday. So there was more than 24 hours space between the end of the clarification session and when the video was done. And when a video is done, it is not on the spur of the moment. Clearly, there is a team thinking about how to project it, how to edit it, the narrative it should have, and how it should portray its protagonists or the other people that it's talking about. So I think insofar as the heat of the moment argument is concerned, it doesn't really apply here. The video was put together for a purpose with some deliberation, but that said, I have highlighted our concerns about that and look forward to Mr. Leong coming back to us with PSP's response.
If I may, in fairness, Mr. Leong, in fairness, I gave you 5 times to raise your questions. And I had specifically invited you to ask all your questions. And you did, in fact, raise more than 10 questions. I felt that was important to put on record.